Let's have a look now at survey methods. So we've got a number of different types. Okay, so here's a number of different types here. Our face-to-face, so I can go up to people and ask them some questions. Pen and paper, I can have some printed out, people fill it in, hand it into a box. Internet, so send them out, so I have them on a website and it pops up asking if you'd like to do a survey. Emailing me through a Google form, for example, or ringing people up on the telephone and asking if they can answer some questions. So those are some common methods. Now, they've all got advantages and disadvantages when choosing which one to use. And when we're looking at a report, we want to look at what method they used and what are the advantages or disadvantages of that particular method that they have selected. So here are some things that we will consider. Okay, so things like looking at bias, accuracy, response rate, the cost, the administration time, how much ground it covers, area, sensitive questions, and more. So let's have a look. A bias. There's three types of bias that we could have. So interviewer bias, for example. If I was asking about, for example, students drinking alcohol, then if the interviewer was a student of their similar age, then people could give a particular kind of answer. If the interviewer was middle-aged, or if the interviewer was quite elderly, that could mean that people would give a different response to different interviewers. Okay, so that's called interviewer bias. Accessibility bias. So some forms may be more accessible than others to some surveys. So that could be an issue. And self-selection bias, which we've looked at before. So in terms of accuracy, we want to get the best answers that we can, the most accurate answers that we can. So by making a survey anonymous or confidential, often that encourages people to give more truthful answers. Our response rate, so depending on what type of method is used, depends on what the response rate is likely to be. We've looked at that one a little bit before. The cost, how much money have I got to spend to collect the data? How much time have I got to collect that data? Do I want to cover a small area or a wide area? Do I just want to collect it from students at our school? Or do I want to get information from people across the country, like the government does, to try and help make decisions about healthcare and education and so on? And then we might want to think about other factors, for example, sensitive subjects. What is the best way to get good information when we want to cover sensitive issues? Do I want to have a video or audio message that people listen to or watch? So this can all help change which method I might use. So let's have a look at an example. So school canteen, they want to find out about students' satisfaction with the school canteen. So they've done an online survey, and I've done this because I've got an email address for everybody at OSC, so that makes it quick and easy for me to do that. But there are some advantages and disadvantages of this particular method. So bias, we know that all students have got their own device, or we've got computers around the school and in the library where they can access it. So that means the accessibility bias is minimised, which is a good thing. Our response rate, well, we know an online survey usually has quite a low response rate, so that's going to be a disadvantage for us using that particular method. What we'd like is as high a response rate as we can, so that we get the best representative data. So I might try and increase that response rate by asking other people around and reminding them verbally as well and in person. So accuracy, if I'm going to have an anonymous survey. The cost, it's online, so there's no cost other than my time. That's a definite advantage. The time to administer, well, they're very quick to do online, and it does the results very quickly as well. Geographical area, I'm only sending them out in a small area, so that is fine. Sensitive issues, well, I'm only asking about the canteen, so they're not particularly sensitive issues. So if I did have sensitive issues, then an interview would be better. So all those good things. Okay, so let's have a look at this question here. Can you think of ways to increase your response rate? Well, we know that any face-to-face interviews are always have a higher response rate. So verbally or in person asking people to do a survey will increase the response rate. Okay, so that's one example. Question number 2. A coffee shop wants to give out a free biscuit with each cup of coffee, and they want to survey their customers to find out what sort of biscuits customers prefer. So we want to look at a survey method and find the advantages or disadvantages of that. Okay, so this might be a pen and paper survey. Might be useful in this situation, as customers could easily fill it in while they are drinking their coffee in the shop. So that's a good thing. So let's go back to looking at some of the factors to consider. Bias, okay, accuracy, response rate. So cost, all of these kind of things. So let's think about some of those ideas. Printing out the survey has a small cost associated with it, and requires time to create the survey. Then the answers need to be entered by hand, which will take more time, which can be a disadvantage. Okay. What else? Only current customers will go into the shop, and they won't survey other potential customers, missing out important representative data. Okay, this is a disadvantage. Okay, so there's a few things. There's lots and lots more you could talk about, but there's a few ideas to get you started. So let's now have a look at some generalized ideas here. So a written questionnaire. What's some advantages of a written questionnaire? It's easy for people to fill in. Yep. What's a disadvantage? It costs to print and takes time to enter data afterwards. Okay. Internet or email questionnaire. What are some of the advantages of an internet questionnaire? Well, some of the advantages are that it's very quick to send out. Disadvantages is it's hard to get emailing lists of target populations. Okay, face-to-face interviews. Some advantages of face-to-face. You get more truthful and accurate answers. Disadvantage is it takes a lot more time to collect the data. Phone interviews. Advantages is it's more anonymous. Okay. I can spell anonymous. Disadvantage is that it takes time to collect the data and time to enter the data. Okay, so there is some ideas for us.